What's going on? This is the last video of the season. Semester is kind of feels a little weird, but let's get into it today for the final one. Today I'm gonna be answering a little quick prompt that you already asked. What ways do the authors just conform to diverge from cultural, religious, or political expectations within their societies? So, using the words together and the sources that was put in the week 16 and the modules and everything in Blackboard, one of the first things that I was able to come up with between Khaldun and Mag Magduma, my pronunciation with these foreign names is really bad. So it largely conforms to Islamic intellectual traditions to where they diverge in important ways. He reflects the expectation that history should really support the moral and religious understandings when he goes further in developing a scientific and analytical approach to history. For example, he emphasizes, well, how did you say that word? Civia, for a social cohesion and arguing that societies rise and fall based on group solidarity. The challenges traditional historical writing, which often focus on only rulers or divine will. In this way, Ibn Khaldun was able to fit within the Islamic scholarship and push beyond it by applying critical reason. So the next one you wrote down to Chu Yang Chang's Manifestos of Accession. It strongly really just confirms the political expectations and its superiors to China. As the founder of the Ming Dynasty, he basically presented himself, how do I put this? He basically presented himself under the mandate of heaven, where it was a traditional justification role. He criticizes the previous Mongol Yuan dynasty for corruption and like the positions that they put him and the society in. Oh, that's kind of nasty. Sorry. This basically aligned with the confusing ideas of the good governance and moral authority. Unlike Ibn Khaldun, Chu Yang Chang's does not challenge the system. He reinforces them to legitimize his power and basically uplift how strong they could be. Um, in contrast to the both of those, so Marabi, who was a Baki poet, he clearly diverges from social and religious expectations, especially regarding gender roles. As a woman in a patriarchal society, I don't know why I said sorority, but she rejected traditional duties like marriage and instead devoted herself completely to spiritual, to leave her for Krishna. In her poem, she expresses personal devotion in ways that ignores social hierarchy and norms. This reflects that Bhakti's movement's broader challenges a rigid caste, and religious structures. So he emphasized that person. So when you emphasize that personal connection with the divine over the institutional religion, it kind of just brings everything together. Essentially, this is some different stuff. I really understand the class for real, but this is kind of like a little. This last part for the last season of it is a little bit interesting. I kind of struggled a little bit with doing the work, but I was able to get it finished. However, when I was looking at all the authors, I can kind of see a spectrum. Essentially, Chu Yang Chan reinforces traditional systems. Khaldun both works within and critiques his tradition, and Marabi actively just challenged societal norms. This shows that historical figures were not just shaped by their societies, but they also questioned them. And when you come down to the bonus question, my favorite time, honestly, my favorite time has been every single video I've done. I'm kind of sad. I enjoyed making these videos. It's probably my only class I consistently had to make videos, and I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear, but that was definitely my favorite part. And one thing I observed in our own society is just ideas and leadership. Really, they legitimately are still important today. Kind of, if you look at this, just like Chu Yang Chang's role, justify the role. Modern leaders also try to present themselves as morally and politically legitimate to gain political support. I'm like I've stated in the video before, I'm not a person to get into politics, but I mean when we look at politics and everything, that's that's the best way I can put it, as people gaining political support, how they present themselves. And that's something that I can leave this video with. I just want to say that I'm not crying. You are. Graduation is this week, and thank you for everything that you've done. Have a good one.